Hi, my name is Trip Taylor, and today we're going to talk about three major events that happened on my birthday, April 12th. So the first event that we have here happened on April 12th, 1945, and the President of the United States at the time, Franklin D. Roosevelt, had died. On April 12th, 1961, the first human traveled to outer space, and finally, on April 12th, 1992, Disneyland had opened in Paris. The three events that fell on April 12th have significantly impacted our world and each left marks in history. The first one that we're going to talk about is the death of Franklin D. Roosevelt. He was the 32nd President of the United States and was widely referred as FDR, his initials. He served as president from 1933 until his death in 1945. He was a member of the Democratic Party and had won 4 elections. He is well known for his implementation of the New Deal that helped America get out of the Great Depression early in his presidency. His health started to decline in World War II. His family and friends began to notice how tired he was looking, low energy, loss of focus easily, memory lapses. But despite all this, he still won his 4th election against Thomas Dewey. In late March 1945, he went to his favorite place, Warm Springs, Georgia, to rest. On the morning of April 12th, he woke up with a mild headache and stiff neck. Later on that day, he was being painted for a portrait and his head began to droop down. He had later died of a brain hemorrhage at age 63 that day. According to PBS NewsHour, his last words were, "I have a terrific pain in the back of my neck." His Vice President, Truman, took oath that day. Hundreds of thousands of people lined the train route from Warm Springs to D.C. that was carrying FDR. He was one of the most important historical figures in history, and his sudden death on April 12th certainly left a mark on our nation. The next event that we're going to talk about is the first man going to space. Yuri Gagarin was a Soviet pilot and cosmonaut, which is Russian for astronaut. He was the first man to travel to space. On April 12, 1961, he completed one orbit of Earth in his spacecraft, the Vostok 1. He was 27 at the time and spent 1 hour and 48 minutes in space traveling around the Earth. According to History.com, Gagarin communicated these words in space: "Flight is proceeding normally and I am well." After he had made history and touched back down on the ground, he became an instant celebrity and was the hero of the Soviet Union. He also received the nation's highest award. His mark led to a space race and competition between the U.S. and the USSR. Less than a month later, Alan Shepard was the first American in space, and less than a year later, John Glenn made 3 orbits around the Earth in Friendship 7. Unfortunately for Gagarin, he didn't live to see all the people that followed his footsteps and traveled to space. Just 7 short years later, Yuri Gagarin died in a plane crash. He was a father and children of 2. Now, on a more exciting note, who doesn't love the most happiest place on Earth? On April 12, 1962, Disneyland Paris opened in France, 20 miles from the center of Paris. This park was the second Disney park to open outside the U.S., and it was originally named Euro Disney. Euro Disney had 2 theme parks, 7 Disney-themed hotels, a Disney nature resort, a shopping, dining, and entertainment complex, a golf course, and according to the New York Times, the admission and food prices were $48 for adult tickets, $28 for kids, $3 for ice cream bars, and $6.50 for hot dogs and sodas. And the best and last part, the rides, obviously. Big Thunder Mountain originally opened and was a very popular attraction a year later. Indiana Jones roller coaster was followed by my personal favorite, Space Mountain. Disneyland Paris has been visited by over 320 million people, making it the most popular theme park in Europe. The 3 events that share my birthday have had a significant impact on our country and world. Emotions were felt by many from these events, and as you can imagine, people were sad by the passing of our great president, FDR. However, there were many feelings of excitement and elation as the first man traveled into space and the opening of Disneyland Park in France. All of these events share my special day, April 12th, and each left a mark in the world.